Hi everyone, it's Megan from Catherine James. We know that diamonds are millions to even billions of years old, so it almost feels like they're omnipresent and that we've never really lived without them. So today we're going to be talking about the history of diamonds in two parts, including when they came into existence and where exactly they came from. As mentioned in our 10 Things You Didn't Know About Diamonds article, which you can read at kjj.rocks, the original source for diamonds was actually India. These gems are famously known as the Golconda diamonds, and they were being found in streams and rivers in the area as early as the 4th century BC. These Indian diamonds were in very limited supply. Keep in mind, mining technology back then wasn't exactly the same. And so only the very, very wealthy, including royalty and aristocrats of the time, had access to them from this direct area. However, by the 1400s, they did make their way to Western Europe through traveling caravans and the medieval merchants of Venice. And soon they were also in Europe and only really being enjoyed again by royal families and very, very aristocratic people. By the 1700s, India's supply of diamonds had completely dried up. But very luckily and serendipitously, gold miners that were working in Brazil soon found diamonds in the Amazon River. And Brazil became the new source of diamonds for the next 150 years. Around the same time that diamonds were found in Brazil, there was a lot of changes happening in the world. There was a lot of societal upheaval, cultural changes, we had the French Revolution, and that really led to a redistribution of wealth. So whereas in the past, the only consumers of diamonds had been very wealthy, royal, aristocratic families, by the 1800s, there was a whole new consumer market for diamonds. You had a lot of what was being considered new money in both the United States and Western Europe, and they were very excited to buy luxury goods. They wanted to be dressed to the nines, and they really were concerned with keeping up with the Joneses. These changes, again, were very lucky for the diamond industry because this new target market for gems really had a lust for buying these very expensive, amazing jewels, and they really couldn't buy enough diamonds. And so by the late 1800s, a new source was serendipitously found that would change the modern diamond industry forever. And that, of course, was South Africa. There are a lot of myths and stories about the first diamonds to be found in South Africa. However, the first one to be authenticated was found in 1866. It was found on a farm just south of Kimberley in South Africa, and the rough gem weighed just over 20 carats. Because it was such a new discovery, it was eventually known as the Eureka diamond. Interestingly enough, it came up for auction almost 100 years later in 1946, somewhat mysteriously, and it was sold by Christie's, and it was set in a bracelet. However, 20 years later, by 1966, DeBeers eventually bought the diamond back and donated it back to South Africa, where it is now found in a museum. Once a few of these diamonds have been found in South Africa, mineralogists and geologists flooded the area looking for major deposits. They were concentrated mainly around the Vaal River area, where another very large diamond had been found. It was over 83 carats rough and is now known as the Star of South Africa. Once it was decided that major deposits of diamonds were likely in South Africa, people came from all over the world, the UK, the United States, other parts of Europe, Australia, and they came, staked claims in the area, and they started to hire local workers to work the land. Soon, this very underdeveloped and kind of country part of South Africa became very developed and filled with tens of thousands of people looking for diamonds. There were hundreds of different companies who owned the various claims in the area. Each claim was only about 30 square feet, and some people owned only one, and some people owned more than one. Soon, these companies were joined by a very future famous entrepreneur named Cecil Rhodes from the United Kingdom. Of course, he would go on to be the head of the DeBeers Company and change the entire future of diamonds. We'll cover DeBeers in part 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe as we follow along and learn more about gems and jewelry. And remember, stay tuned for part 2 of History of Diamonds, where we'll cover the future of Cecil Rhodes and the DeBeers Company.